the area around Lincoln Center and Lincoln Center, but it's closed down. This whole year it's going to be closed down in 2020. Now, this is Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, also simply known as Lincoln Center. It's on a space of about 16 acres. It's an incredible space located in a prime area of Manhattan. It has 30 indoor and outdoor facilities and hosts, when everything is normal, about 5 million visitors every year. And it's renowned for both nationally and internationally for the performing arts organizations ranging from the New York Philharmonic to the Metropolitan Opera to the New York City Ballet to the Juilliard School of Music. And it's really an incredible grouping of buildings. Now, this is more the courtyard for Lincoln Center. It's really amazing how everything got organized for it. And then what happened is a consortium of civic leaders and others led by John D. Rockefeller III built Lincoln Center as part of the Lincoln Square Renewal Project. And that was a program under Robert Moses during the urban renewal of the 50s and 60s. And a lot of respected architects helped do this, helped create this. And Lincoln Center, Rockefeller was appointed the inaugural president of Lincoln Center in 1956. And he's credited, that's John D. Rockefeller III, with raising $184 million in private funds needed to build this complex. And what an amazing complex it is. And look at all the buildings around here. Now, you have to remember too, that there was urban blight in New York City starting in the 60s and 70s because people were moving out of the city. They wanted to go elsewhere. And it's still unclear like who this was really named after, whether it was named after a tribute to US President Abraham Lincoln, or if it was named after the Lincoln Square neighborhood that this area was in. But it's really an amazing location, amazing group of buildings, and it brings so many millions of people here every year just to see this area, just to see what's going on here. It's really, really incredible. And that's looking south. You can see all the buildings around here. Now, this whole area around here is very, very residential, and you can see here all the apartment buildings around here. It took a time to develop these apartment buildings, and a lot of people actually really like living around here. It's a very, very nice environment. There are hotels around here, but mostly residential. People really like this environment. It's very safe, because the city of New York wants to make very sure that the neighborhood is safe for the millions of tourists that visit Lincoln Center. So thus the residents around here really like it also. And you have a nice little park here, small park, but a nice little park. Another view of Lincoln Center, but just from a slightly different angle. You can see the magnificent buildings here. What great foresight by the people of New York to build an entertainment complex like this. Of course, it's going to be closed down for like a year, waiting until next year to really reopen for the ballet, for Juilliard, for all the other parts of Lincoln Center. Now, if we look north on Broadway, we'll see a little bit more of the neighborhood from this different vantage point at 64th and Broadway. You can see all the beautiful apartment buildings around here. Now, Broadway and 64th is one of those ideal locations to live at. Broadway all the way up to like maybe about 125th is really ideal because Columbia University is at 125th, and 125th, 135th, 145th and Broadway are all becoming really good because Columbia University is making a very good point about improving everything. All apartment buildings here. It's the retail also on the ground floor that really is very, very valuable. So a lot of developers, what they'll do is they'll put up condominiums here and they'll keep the retail space for themselves because the retail is like very, very valuable. Or other times developers, what they'll do is they'll sell the retail space as a condominium to recoup some of their expenses for the construction, and there are many investors who want to do that, who actually want to buy the retail space. From an investor's point of view, when you actually own the retail space, that's like money in the bank. You know you're going to get a certain return on the retail space, so you're very happy with that. So here from around 65th and Broadway, you can see more of the buildings of Lincoln Center. It's really extensive, but well worth it, because what happens is there's a lot of people in New York and from all over the world that really enjoy being in New York. This is Broadway here. We're looking south toward Columbus Circle. And you can see all the buildings around Lincoln Center. As I said, that's why it's so popular to be in Lincoln Center. Everything, to live near Lincoln Center, everything is around here. You can see here more of the city, all the stores around here. And from 9th Avenue and 65th Street, a slightly different view of Lincoln Center. But you can just see it's kind of like taking up a couple city blocks, big city blocks. But it's a very popular venue with the people of New York. And even here, when we look around, now we're looking south, but then when we look more to the west, you can see a high school here. And then if we keep going, you'll see more buildings, apartment buildings. Because as I said, this is like a very popular location for apartment buildings in general. Apartment building after apartment building. And as I said, one of the added benefits to Lincoln Center is there's a high police presence and a high City of New York presence to make sure everything is safe. Because they want people to visit this venue. They want the arts to feel safe. So you have a very conducive environment for people living in this neighborhood. And this is 1 block west of Broadway. From 62nd and 9th Avenue, you can see just another vantage point of everything here. Multiple blocks of Lincoln Center and all the beautiful developments that are around here. People want to live in this area. A band shell for Lincoln Center. Another view of Lincoln Center. This is a part of Lincoln Center, but it's also a park, and people really enjoy it. For a number of years, they had Fashion Week New York in this park. Now, part of the issue was that the residents around here didn't like it that the city took over almost like a third to a half of the park for Fashion Week. So they had sued the city. And Mayor Bloomberg, who kind of encouraged fashion and wanted things to happen in the city that brought business, was okay to fight it. He was okay to have part of the park used for the fashion shows twice a year, for the official fashion shows. A new administration came along. They didn't quite like the fact that this fashion show was going on, so they allowed the suit to be settled. So then they stopped having Fashion Week in this area, the main Fashion Week, so then it became scattered throughout the city. So it's a little bit more diffuse now, but people actually enjoyed having Fashion Week near Lincoln Center because Lincoln Center is already a cultural venue, and people thought, well, why not have that addition of fashion at Lincoln Center? What a beautiful location, though. That's the band shell. in the area around here.